Hi everyone. So my name is Andres Aguiar. I'm a product manager at Okta, and I'm a maintainer in OpenFGA. OpenFGA is an authorization system for developers. You're going to use it if you want to implement authorization in an application, like, for example, same way or similar way you can use Open Policy Agent. And it's based on a concept called relationship-based access control that you can see it as an evolution of role-based access control and attribute-based access control. It's inspired by a research paper published by Google a few years ago, where they describe a system they call Google Zanzibar, which is the way they found to implement authorization in a way that is generic enough for any use case at Google. And they define the way you can do that, define a model to implement it for any application, and also build it to scale to their scale. What we did is we created a server, a set of tools, APIs, SDKs, CLIs, IDE integrations to make it simple for you to integrate in your applications. We're in the sandbox stage. We apply for incubation. We are in the second line of projects to be evaluated for incubation. And it's maintained mostly by Okta with help from Grafana Labs. How OpenFGA works. You need two things to work with OpenFGA. First is defining what we call an authorization model, where you're going to describe the entities that are relevant when making authorization decisions. In this case, for a very simple multi-tenant role-based access control, where you have organizations with your tenants, and for each of them, you can have admins or members. And we're saying you can edit if you're an admin, or you can view if you're a member of an admin. In addition of the model, we need to instantiate that model with data. And we call them those tuples, relationship tuples. In this case, we're saying that Maria is a member of the Acme organization, and Anne is an admin on the Acme organization. And then we can define, with that data and the organization, and the model and the tuples, we can write it using the write API. This is using the Go SDK. We have SDKs for a lot of platforms. We store that data in a database. We support SQLite, Postgres, and MySQL currently. And then whenever we want to know if a user can perform an action on a resource, we call the check API. In this case, Mary can edit a specific organization. So this was very simple, but let's make it a little more complex. The nice thing about relationship-based access control is that you can extend role-based access control and start defining your own entity types, right? In this case, it will be for a document management app, but it could be projects and tickets or whatever your application is about. We're going to define we have folders and documents. The folders belong to an organization, can have parents within other folders. We have documents, or have a parent that is another folder. And then we can define permissions or relationships that refer to other roles or relationships in the hierarchy. So you're an editor in a folder if you're an owner of the folder or admin from the parent organization. Or you can edit a document if you are an owner or an editor from the parent folder, which means also an editor from the parent organization. So you can have a lot of flexibility and go well beyond role-based access control, defining authorization this way. How is it being used? So if you search for OpenFGA in GitHub, you're going to find 197 repositories that have OpenFGA in the title or in the description, which we didn't create. And these are the things the community is building around OpenFGA, right? Demos, providers, operators, more SDKs, API gateways integrations, framework integrations, IDPs, IDE integrations, all of those built by the community. These are some of the adopters that are using OpenFGA. We have an adopters MD file with every company can submit a PR at themselves. You've seen there's very large companies, public companies like GoDaddy, some significant players in the cloud-native ecosystem like Grafana Labs, Canonical, and Docker, and a lot of startups that are working in the space that are using OpenFGA for authorization. Let's go to some examples. This is, for example, from Grafana. Whenever you have a dashboard and you want to add permissions to specific users or roles, groups, or even service accounts, this data and the authorization logic is managed by OpenFGA. And in Canonical, they use OpenFGA in different stacks of the Ubuntu Pro offering. And if you go to Docker Hub, Docker supports adding teams and also roles per user. That functionality is built on top of OpenFGA. Zuplo is an API gateway. They use that to manage the permissions for each API key that you're using in the gateway. StackLog is a tool to manage supply chain, software supply chain, and it just kind of monitors your GitHub repositories and warns you when there's something wrong. They have a CLI that give you manage the roles for that application. They use OpenFGA for that. ReadAI is a meeting copilot tool that they record your meetings and give you information about it. If you want to share a document and they're meeting with someone, they use OpenFGA for that. So if you see there's a lot of variation from operating systems to API gateway to any SaaS application that are currently using OpenFGA. So you can go to that website and start learning how to use it if you want it. We have a booth in the Project Pavilion on Wednesday afternoon. And we have a presentation the last day where we are going to share with Grafana Labs how was their journey to implementing OpenFGA. Thank you very much.